Welcome to Lokar Car Show, a show about cars and the people who own them. On this episode, we travel to Somerset, Kentucky for an infamous summer nights cruise. The theme for this summer nights cruise is Mopar Mania. You need to hang on to your seat because we're about to show you some monster Mopars. Take a look at this Purple Bee, a 1970 Dodge Super Bee. It's owned by Larry Lee and his wife, whom Larry says loves to drive. This is one rare Mopar since the Super Bee, as a standalone model, was only made for 3 years. The bumper and grille package on this car was only offered for one of those years.
I just love the Super Bee because the front ends are so unique for the 1970 model year. It was completely different from anything else. It was a 1 year only deal. Just really unique. I've had about 20 years. We started restoring it probably in 2000. Pretty much went through the whole car. We did repaint, put new interior, rebuilt the engine. It's originally a factory 446 pack 4-speed, all original colors, all factory. Drives pretty good. It's, you know, they're more for straight line race or driving than around corners, but it does real well on the road.
If you love Mopar and you love trucks, have we got something for you. This 1939 Dodge Brothers pickup is enough to make any American automobile fan jealous. You may know a little history about Dodge. Two brothers seeking a better quality vehicle founded the company. Well, this steel-bodied pickup is one that they considered superior at the time. Josh Clark is a fan in agreement with them. Josh, how did you come by this precious pickup?
It was actually my uncle's pickup truck. He had it ever since I was little. He got it from saving aluminum cans and Coke bottles, and he bought a banjo with the money he saved and traded the banjo for a violin, and then traded the violin for a running and driving original truck when he was, I think, 14. And when I was little, we've always worked on it together and whatnot. And when he was fixing to sell it to somebody else, about the same day I pulled in the driveway and kind of took it off his hands. It was pro-streeted, had a tilt front end on it and a big blower motor in it, and I wanted to make something a little more practical as a driver. And we bought a 92 Dodge Dakota, and I pulled all that Chevrolet crap off of it and swapped it all over to everything Dodge, and made us a nice little driver, something we can get in and go to the grocery store in. And we ain't got a whole lot of money tied up in it, so you know, we can kick it and scratch it and repaint it come this winter. So it's got a 5-inch body drop on it. It's sitting on a roughly stock suspension for a Dakota. I plan on doing an air ride on it this winter and finishing all that up. It's just, you know, it's an all steel body truck minus the hood and the side fenders. It's just a neat old driver, you know, and we can go just about anywhere we want in it.
Art Schlachter is the owner of this rare 1959 Plymouth Fury Sport. This is one of the last full-framed cars before unibodies were introduced in the 1960s, and this Fury is one of less than 100 known to still exist. Art can tell you everything you need to know about this car. He loves the flowing lines and is a true collector of automobiles. Take it away, Art.
Okay, this is a 1959 Plymouth Sport Fury. There's less than 100 in existence today, and I've owned this car this is my 3rd year that I've owned this car. It's the last year for the full frame underneath the car. They went to unibody after 1960. And also, a lot of the trim on this car is stainless steel, which they don't put on cars anymore. So it's a wonderful car. It rides great. I drive it on the highway. I do not own a trailer. I like driving my cars. And I've had a lot of enjoyment and a lot of pleasant driving with it. This car has the push-button transmission. It's a very reliable transmission. It has swivel seats in the interior for ease of entry and access out of the car. It has the torsion bar suspension. It has the 318 cubic inch engine. The original engine is in it. And then it also has the spare tire. It's a fake spare tire on the trunk lid. And that was Chrysler's answer to Ford and Chevrolet's Continental kit that you see so often in the late 50s and 60s. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's just a matter of personal choice.
Meet Corbett Combest and his 1951 Peterbilt that he rebuilt himself. Corbett has driven his Cummins-powered big rig cross-country, and with the airbags and air ride seats he loves too. He enjoys the car show community and passes out over 700 Tootsie Rolls every year on Memorial Day weekend at Summer Nights Cruise.
Having a big time. I would have been here. I'm always here on the fourth Saturday at the cruise inn. Been parking in the same place 2 years. I spend the winter in Arizona, and I'm on my 9th trip in it to and from Arizona. I run up behind a Walmart truck, and I pull out, start to pass him, and he sticks his hand out the window, putting it down. Said, what the heck's wrong with him? And finally passed him, and it dawned on me when he slowed down so he could take my picture. So I slowed down for him. And I stop occasionally. They want me to pull in and kick the tires on it.
Thanks for checking out the first 3 cars with us on today's show. Don't you dare go anywhere. We have more to come. The Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group, is brought to you by ARP, proudly made in the USA, the world leader in fastener technology. Original Parts Group, world-class restoration parts. Lokar, quality, plain and simple. National Parts Depot, make your dream happen. And by Power Probe, an absolute must for your toolbox. You are lucky to have stayed with us. You are in for a treat on this next segment.
Today is our May edition of Summer Nights Cruise 2016. It is Mopar Mania. So we have a bunch of Mopar cars here on display, along with hundreds of other hot rods. It's Memorial Day weekend, and we're expecting a great day.
This is not your garden variety 1939 Plymouth Coupe, and David Kirk is not your garden variety builder. He pieced together this rat rod from many different vehicles and driven it over 100 miles an hour. He loves coming to car shows for his own reason and built this car for one specific person.
It's a 1939 Plymouth Coupe. Body's about the only thing factory about it. I've made the rest of it. First 5 foot of frame is a 5th wheel section of a Peterbilt. The rest of it's all tube chassis and a mixture from skidders to big trucks. Well, that's why I say it's a 10,000 pound go-kart. It is on airbags in the back, but the front springs are unelliptical. They're flipped upside down, so it's fairly forgiving, but it's pretty rigid. He hadn't missed a day of school in 11 years, and it's his gift to him for high school. He drawed it on a piece of paper and said, "Daddy, this is what I want for high school." And I said, "Well, we'll have to build that. We can't buy it."
Honestly, I found it on Craigslist in pieces. Me and my wife went on a July 6th, almost 4 years ago, and bought it, and it was completely apart in boxes. And I've completely restored it, frame off, every nut, every bolt, put a LS3 in it, 465E transmission. air conditioning, power windows, power brakes. It's like driving a brand new car. It is a career and a hobby. I work on cars all day long in a body shop, and at night I work on my own. And every night, every day, every weekend of 3.5 years has taken me to restore this car at night. Well, I came down about 65, 70 miles an hour on some back roads. We took our time getting down here, but it'll go on the expressway. I built this thing to go on the expressway and get decent gas mileage, even though it is a 430 horsepower engine in it. Love this car show. This is the second time we've been to it, first time in this car, but we love coming here. Everybody's so friendly down here. There's a lot to do in the middle of town. They closed the town down to do it. It's great.
It's time for Lokar Lowdown with Kevin Ford.
All right, here's a car that you may have seen. This is our '69 Camaro that we had Goolsby Custom Build a couple years ago. We've had it at SEMA, we've had it at all the major shows. There's a lot of custom work that we did on this car, and I'd like to take a minute to show you one of the more subtle items that we've decided to introduce as a new product are the tailpipes in this car. If we come down here, these are a billet aluminum tailpipe that it's going to be a clamshell style that's got some bolts around it so you can mount it to your body, and then the exhaust pipe will come inside of it. It looks good, it contours to the bumper, it's got some shape to it, and the best part is that we're going to offer this as a finished product. I mean, it's going to be rounded edges ready to bolt in, and we're also going to offer it in a somewhat raw form where it's a little straighter. You're going to be able to custom fit to the pan that you've got. This product is something that should be out later this year, and just keep an eye on our website, call our tech staff, and we'd be happy to update you on the status.
Shh, don't tell anybody. But we're still on a small break from the Mopars here at the Summer Nights Cruise. The next car we're going to look at is this clean 1964 Comet Caliente. For those of you who don't know, this little car is one of the first hot rod guys started buffing big engines in the pre-muscle car era. Barbara and Leon are the owners of this hot Mercury Comet Caliente.
Well, actually, I found the car pretty close to home where I live in Shepherdsville, Kentucky. And I've had it about 12 years. Of course, it was in pretty bad shape when I found it. And my husband, he has restored it from one end to the other. And we pretty much stored it back to original.
Drives and handles good. It's got power steering and disc brakes and power disc brakes, and pretty much kind of modern day type.
Got a 289 hypo in it. Well, actually, it's my car, because he's got his own car. He's got a '67 Fairlane that was his. He bought in 1967, and so he's got his car and I got my car. Yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't driven mine yet because it's a little more potent than this one. It's
well, I'm afraid I might mess his up, and I don't want to be in no big trouble.
Back to the Mopars, but sticking with another husband and wife team. This is the Ambergies' 5th year coming to Summer Nights Cruise, and they like it so much, they're actually planning to move to Somerset, Kentucky. Randy and Jessica pulled this 1973 Dodge Dart Sport from the weeds, and they say they did it because they are Mopar people.
Well, we found this car in the weeds. It had been sitting for over 20 years. It was a total basket case when we found it. It took us about 4 years to do it. It's a matching numbers car. It now is a 392 stroker, full custom. It was blue originally. We now have it white and black. It's got a full leather interior. It's got a modern full stereo system in it. It's got a color TV in it now. It's got a full custom trunk in it. It's got 20s on the back, 17s on the front. It's a nice little cruising car. We like to take it out and ride it around, go to car shows. We love coming to Somerset. We always come Mopar weekend, so we're here just about every year. We've been here 5 years in a row, so this makes our 5th year in a row this year.
1941 Mercury Coupe. Some people say coupe because coupes is for chickens, but it's a what they call a club coupe,
and it's got an all-4 drivetrain in it. Got a 302 V8 with AOD transmission, 8-inch rear end, and it's a pretty rare car. As a matter of fact, when we go to the Street Rod Nationals in Louisville, there might be mine and 2, maybe 3 others, and out of 10,000 cars, you don't see very many 41 Mercury.
The Lokar Car Show, presented by Original Parts Group, is brought to you by Lokar, quality, plain and simple. Proline Tool and Supply, one tool, one operator, no problem. HE&M Saw, the saw that cuts straight. LMC Truck, restore, maintain, customize parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks and SUVs. KBS Coatings, rust stops here. And by Power Probe, an absolute must for your toolbox. Resto Parts Restoration, powered by Original Parts Group.
Not all cars are made the same. Here we have a good example of that using one of our early 70s and some of the late 60s GM inner fender wells and fenders. Most people try to install the inner fenders by mounting it on the inside of the lip. What happens then is you have no alignment on your front end. Your fenders, your hood, everything is out of whack, and we get a lot of phone calls wondering what's the problem. Here's the problem. They actually sat on the outside of the wheel well using these steel clips. It is visual. You do see it on some of the cars, but that's the way the factory did it. First thing you got to do is install your inner fender clips for your sheet metal attachment. You want to use a hammer to mount it in place, soft hammer. Okay, there's a little bit of play on these clips. That's the way the factory did it. That gives you a little bit of alignment and room to jiggle around with your inner fender when you install it. Now let me get the inner fender. Now it's easy to understand why people would get confused and try to install the inner fender on the back side of the actual fender. It would look cleaner, but that's not the way GM did it. GM did install this with it sitting on top of the lip. Now, not only does that save you time, it also saves you a headache when you're trying to line your front end. Now what you want to do is line it up to the holes, put some loose bolts in there, line up your front end, your hood, anything you're doing if you're working on that part of your car. And then once you're all done with the exterior sheet metal, go ahead and finally cinch down all your screws. When you're done, it'll look just like the factory.
I have a 1965 Plymouth Fury 3, 2.5-year build. Floor pans, trunk pans, everything's been replaced on the car. Has a 318 wide block poly factory 2-barrel. We did restore the air conditioner on the car, went through it completely, put new tanks on the car, so it's all original. Well, I'm originally a GM person. I had never restored a Mopar, so I chose to do this car because it was a factory air car. And of course, I've been building muscle cars for 40 years. This was new to me and a new experience.
It's a 1954 Chevrolet 3100 series. Had it for about 4 years. Fixed it up, got a new motor in it, transmission. Had it reupholstered, lady upholstered for me. I've had it about 4 years. Just a driver. We drive it just about everywhere we can go with it. Nothing fancy, just what you see, what you see. I'm here every week, every month, and it's never changed any. People come, you find a different car here every time. It's just a wonderful place to be. Somerset's a fine town. Of course, I'm from Corbin, Kentucky, and I'm a city commissioner over in Corbin, Kentucky. But now, we have one over there about every month for 4 months, but that's all. They had these from April to October, and it's fantastic. They'll have 1,200–1,300 cars over here.
I started the frame on it in 2007 in my garage, built it all myself, and did the body work, built a 496 blower motor for it, set it down in there, turbo 400 transmission, narrowed rear end with 18 wide tires and tubbed out, and I've had a blast out of it. It's Probably around 1,000 horsepower. Got a 1071 blower on the 496 stroker engine. It was a 454 board 60 stroker crank, and it makes it a 496. And we never had it dyno, but from what we read and what we see, everybody else with the same motors or something similar, somewhere's around 1,000 horsepower. I'm an old man. When I was a young fella, I wanted me a blower engine. Took this long. I'm 64 now, and I've got me a blower motor. It's a 468, got an 871 blower on it, somewhere around 900 horsepower on it. So just a great car, fun to drive. Burn them just as long as you want to stay in the gas if you want to do that. I gave it to my son for his graduation. He graduated high school, something I didn't do. I decided I need to work as a young teenager. Went and got a job driving, hauling coal in the coal fields and running heavy equipment later on. And he graduated high school, and the night of his graduation, we had a sign made. His name's Zach. We wrote Pro Zach on that sign because of the pro-streeted car. Had the keys taped to it and said, "Bless you, son. You've been a good boy. God's blessed us with you, and we're proud to give you this car." This is the greatest car show on earth. I'm sure there are bigger ones. Some people might even say better ones, but this is just all free. People constantly, well, here today, just constantly going through here, have extra excitement going on all the time. And such a great group of men and women that work this show that we know personally. It's just a great, great show.
Make sure you pit in here on Lokar Car Show next week. We're planning to bring you some of the most rare Pontiacs you'll see from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. You won't want to miss these one-of-a-kind cars at the Pontiacs in Pigeon Forge Car Show.